Coming up on System 390 Magazine, get out your sharpened pencils as IBM introduces the fastest, most powerful CMOS System 390 chip ever made.
We'll show you how a major international bank gets the let out and guarantees service to every customer within 5 minutes. IBM's Parallel Sysplex technology will help meet that commitment.
And then down to Miami, where IBM made a lasting mark for an insurance giant after Mother Nature tried to erase its database.
And up to Iceland in pursuit of cold cash, as IBM's CMOS technology helps an airline generate profits that defy gravity.
So put your laptops in their full, upright, and locked position. Another edition of IBM System 390 Magazine is winging your way. Hello everyone, I'm Tom Ellis.
And I'm Luz Ramos. Our top story concerns IBM's latest announcement in its ongoing effort to dramatically transform the mainframe into the lower-cost enterprise-wide server of tomorrow. IBM has just announced 12 new air-cooled System 390 parallel enterprise servers. These range from a uniprocessor all the way up to a 10-way processor.
At the heart of these new servers is a much more powerful engine, the latest IBM CMOS superchip. Each superchip microprocessor contains 3.4 million transistors, which will spark unprecedented CMOS System 390 computing power. These new chips are already rolling off the production lines in Burlington, Vermont.
For IBM Parallel Sysplex users, these more powerful CMOS superchips will power 2 new faster coupling facility models, giving you the option of coupling some big bipolar Hummers.
And speaking of coupling, IBM also announced its new Open System Adapter 2. It's a card that slips right into a slot on the CMOS processor and directly connects various types of local area networks to the parallel server.
There are more announcements to report, and we'll get to those a little later in this program. But the overall effect of IBM's strategy to re-engineer mainframe technology has made industry news in its own right.
A recent Metafax flash report published by the independent Meta Group noted that new applications account for a major part of the recent mainframe resurgence. Earlier, System 390 Magazine talked with a senior researcher at Meta Group's Enterprise Data Center Strategies Unit.
From Meta Group's Harborside headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut, we are joined by senior researcher Rob Schaefer. Rob, tell us about the Meta Group finding.
At Meta Group, we've found recent surveys here at Meta Group have found that good 25% of what we consider to be quite robust System 390 growth, recent System 390 growth in the 30 to 35% range, 25% of that growth has been from new applications. And these are new applications that have really never been on the mainframe before.
As this conversation is taking place, IBM is preparing to announce 12 new, more powerful CMOS processors. Do you believe these will replace the 3090J stuff that's out there now?
Is there any question? Yeah, our analysis of the soon-to-be announced new CMOS systems, there's no question that from an environmental standpoint, especially with the entry server option that is being offered by IBM, that should provide a very, very attractive alternative to existing 3090 across the line. From both a performance standpoint and clearly the environmentals will make it very, very attractive. We are projecting that there should be a strong migration from the 3090 line into CMOS. Basically, if from a user standpoint, if not now, when is a good way to sum it up.
Now I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, Rob. New applications, new CMOS. Bottom line it for us.
I mean, really what it comes down to is folks have come, the pendulum has come back from the early 90s, the early 90s where it was very much the fashion to say System 390 is at least, at best case, dying, and that we have to get off and we have to not even consider any new mainframe applications. It's our judgment that clearly we're not going back to the days of the early 80s where everything was centralized System 390. But by the same token, the conventional wisdom clearly is being proven wrong, at least by our surveys, that say that new application specifically is in large measure due to the responsible for the growth in System 390.
Thank you very much, Rob. In order to speed up and lower the costs of developing those new mainframe applications, IBM recently announced the developer's dream workbench, the PC Server 500 System 390. Now you can fully develop and test System 390 programs without tying up mainframe resources. We'll have full details on this story in a special feature which follows immediately on most of these same IBM videotapes.
And in case you missed it, IBM Microelectronics has done it again. Their latest SRAM CMOS-based memory chip, just a fraction of the size of a postage stamp, has just broken the world speed record, clocking in at a snappy 2.5 nanoseconds. That's the time it takes a beam of light to travel 2.5 feet.
Give or take a picosecond. And System 390 magazine will continue in just a moment. A technology moment.
Storage memory.
You are looking at the world's best supercomputer with millions of liquid-cooled, simple compute engines. Unmatched portability, flawless speech synthesis, incomparable visual recognition, even remote arm and hand controlled so fine, its end users can perform microsurgery. It is, of course, the human brain, the world's finest supercomputer. What is it about the human brain that can dash for a train, check the time, remember which pocket contains the ticket home, fumble for change for a paper, and check the track number all at once? Yet a phalanx of state-of-the-art electronic computers are still looking for the clock. How can a human brain flying at 5,000 feet interpret optical impulses, a speck in the ocean, better than the best computers the Coast Guard can muster to find a downed pilot at sea? How? Why? Because the brain's processors are working in concert, in parallel. But 1,000 processors won't find the clock or the pilot any faster unless they work together. Now, with IBM's Parallel Sysplex breakthrough, you can fire up hundreds of System 390 engines together, in concert, and each engine has the same direct access to all shared data. That means a Parallel Sysplex can continue to add capacity when traditional systems are on their knees. Each engine is connected to the coupling facility, which serves as a conductor, orchestrating the workload at 10 times the speed of today's fastest SCON fiber channels, while keeping track of where all the data is. It's the conductor, the coupling facility that puts parallel processors into the Parallel Sysplex. Almost anyone can talk about parallel processors. Only IBM can deliver Parallel Sysplex processing. And there's still only one parallel processor that surpasses that. And that's an unparalleled achievement from IBM.
Now it's time for a little northern exposure. When you want the view from the highest freestanding tower in the world, you go to Toronto. When you want the view from the most futuristic ballpark in the world, you go to Toronto. And when you want to see where the mainframe world is headed, yep, you go to Toronto, because that's where a Canadian financial services leader is banking on IBM's Parallel Sysplex.
Spanning 5 time zones from Newfoundland to the Northwest Territories, Toronto Dominion is the 5th largest bank in the highly competitive Canadian market.
We cover around 1,000 branches.
There's about 2,000 ATMs in Canada.
We're in Tokyo, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, and the U.S.
We go coast to coast on a 7/24 basis.
We are very large in the mutual fund business. We have the largest discount brokerage in Canada with roughly 70% market share.
Certainly the larger banks of the world recently, in the last couple of years, have been coming into Canada.
From the retail side to the highest end corporate and investment banking.
We at TD have been focusing our attention back towards our Canadian market.
That customer focus has helped Toronto Dominion grow to a $100 billion institution. But their customer service is like a small town bank, and it's backed by a unique $5 service guarantee.
If you're in a branch and you don't get them service within 5 minutes, we're going to give you $5. If you walk up to an ATM and the ATM is closed, we're going to give you $5.
That guarantee means any system outage is costing the bank cold, hard cash.
It's very important to us to keep our systems up on a 7/24 basis, and certainly with that $5 service guarantee out there, there's a recognized impact when a system goes down.
Pressure on those systems was increasing from demands for new applications like mutual funds, brokerage, and home banking services. Capacity at Toronto-Dominion is hitting the ceiling. Instead of another major vertical upgrade, they're adding the new CMOS System 390 Parallel Server.
With the vertical growth, I think we're always going to hit the ceiling eventually.
We've had that largest processor for the last few years. We've been in that realm of always reaching the largest one. We need horizontal growth. And we're hoping with CMOS it gives us that horizontal growth rather than a vertical growth.
Our experience with the 9672 has been very positive. We moved the 9672 in a Sysplex, and it is coupled. In effect, we have two 9672s right now. One is Sysplexed with another H5 processor, the TSO, some IMS, some DB2 on it, and the other one is basically Sysplexed by itself.
Last year, we had two of these computers. All of this, all these boxes is one computer. Well, we replaced all those boxes with this box. Actually, half of this box. Now there's a lot of benefit to all of this. By this time next year, all of this will be gone. And we'll have enough room for the Sysplex floor hockey team.
With Sysplex, all of our applications can share data, and share data easily. So it doesn't matter whether you're in the brokerage business, or in the banking side, you're in ATM, or you're in the trust business. What Sysplex does is allow you to share all of that information across those multiple CPUs in a fast and efficient manner.
Sysplex gives you the flexibility to either be distributed or centralized. It also gives you a single point of control from an operational viewpoint. Once we have data share enabled, then the core application of the bank will be running in that environment, in a Sysplex data sharing environment.
Sysplex is one more reason why IBM's System 390 CMOS Parallel Server is the server in client server.
We have the Tandem platform, we have the RISC platforms, we have the AS400, and those platforms will get connected to the Sysplex and to these transaction servers for data access, for external connection, and all sorts of other things. I think any one of those CMOS 9672 processor can be a server for the client server.
At Toronto-Dominion, Sysplex will handle the most complex customer problems with minimal or no changes at all in their applications.
The last thing we want to do is reinvent an application because we've reached a certain technology limit. Hopefully what Sysplex will do is take that away from us, that constraint away from us.
Will Sysplex really do all this? Toronto-Dominion is banking on it. From the Maritimes to the cities to the oil patch, they're betting $5 it will. Betting $5 every day, thousands of times a day, 24 hours a day, all across Canada.
I think with Sysplex, we can really back up the $5 guarantee on a 7/24 service level for a large number of our applications. That is very important to us. It's a crucial commitment that the bank has made to its customers, and we're going to back that up. And Sysplex, I think, will help us do that.
For MVS users like Toronto-Dominion who are thinking about client server, ADSM, the software that handles backup and recovery of client server data, now does a lot more. The new ADSM release 2.1 for MVS and AIX is now also a hierarchical storage manager. That means dormant files will automatically be migrated from workstations to server disks to optical disks, even to tape, and then retrieved whenever a workstation requests it. This release also handles and preserves data from Lotus Notes.
And as we roll out this edition of System 390 magazine, IBM has just announced a $3.3 billion tender offer for Lotus Development Corporation. Stay tuned.
Speaking of software, IBM continues to enhance its VM software. And now it has done it again with VM ESA version 2, which includes VM Open Edition, making it easier than ever to link up with the open world. Two other features, also included at no extra cost, are designed to facilitate client-server environments. These are LAN file services and LAN res. This new VM ESA version 2 also supports the newly announced Parallel Enterprise servers and Open Systems Adapter 2.
Our next story happens to involve not only VM, but also VSE. It's an old-fashioned fishtail, and what better way to discuss scalability? In an era of airline industry turbulence, one carrier is on top of the world these days. Well, almost. Let's go up to Reykjavik, where Iceland Air is heating up profits by putting old technology on ice.
It's the most competitive market in the world.
We want to match the lowest fares on the market.
We're expecting 15% increase a year on the business from the States to Iceland. Today, you cannot survive in the marketplace without the top technology.
Every day, Iceland Air flies to a destination that most other carriers can only dream about, the land of profits. While most of the world's airlines underwent a crash course in managing bottom-line losses, Iceland Air has been paying dividends and watching its stock price climb skyward, up 75% in 2 years. In just 5 years, Iceland Air recreated its business, upgrading everything from caviar to computers.
In the 60s and the 70s, we were carrying only tourists. We wanted to change the company and be offering better service, better quality, and cater to the higher paying passenger. So we decided the only way to do that was to have the up-to-date technology, both in the aircraft and in management information systems.
Re-engineering a technology company, and airlines are technology companies, is not cheap. So with millions at stake, Iceland Air kept a watchful eye on its bottom line.
Our new planes, they consume about 45 to 50% less fuel per seat than our old planes.
It is always an issue to keep the cost as low as possible. We looked at the broker market to buy a used CPU, and that was even more expensive than the new one. The price I experienced with the new hardware, the new mainframe we bought, was an experience.
New airplanes and new information systems brought new business opportunities to Iceland Air, such as aircraft maintenance for their European competitors.
Iceland Air's information system gives us total control of all parts in the planes and on the ground. Its up-to-date information system is vital for us to keep the planes safely in the air.
We at Iceland Air, we treat every aircraft, no matter whom the owner is, just like it was our own.
Other airlines fly for hours in order to bring their airplanes here to Iceland for maintenance. That's because we do a great job at a good price.
With planes safely in the air, the key task is filling them with paying passengers and cargo.
We cannot, by ourselves and our small staff in the States, get to all the travel agents. We have over 35,000 travel agents in the States if we didn't have the management information system directly connected to our mainframe computer here in Iceland.
Of course, it's not only travel agents that need access to Iceland Air's mainframe data. The whole company needs it.
We are increasing our applications, and we are connecting more users to the mainframe. We are going to use the servers as the power of presenting information where they are needed and keeping the large databases behind it on the mainframe, because we see the mainframe as the best server, file server available today.
The new 9672 CMOS parallel processor more than tripled Iceland Air's computing power, while slashing energy costs by 2 million kroners, over $30,000 per year.
We increased our MIPS from 8 to nearly 25, but we see that we are experiencing about 30 MIPS instead of 25. It's even better than we were given when we made the purchase. So we are very happy about it.
Of course, computing power without availability is about as useful as an airplane without wings.
The availability for the mainframe is much better than the other platforms. We are experiencing uptime of the mainframe 99.9%, but the other platforms are giving us too often a bad headache. The experience with the operating system on the mainframe has been very good. It's a very stabilized system and nearly never goes wrong.
We are very pleased with our new management information systems we have, and we think that is one of the key to our success.
So after keeping their planes and their competitors safely in the air, finding new customers, and increasing flight services, Iceland Air found more fish in the sea and in the air.
In the last 5 to 7 years, we've been able to develop a big market of fresh Icelandic fish abroad. So now nearly every flight we fly out of Iceland is full of fresh fish.
By giving new meaning to the phrase flying fish, Iceland Air has opened up a whole kettle of cash.
Of course, our number one priority is to have a profit for the company, to make sure that we can pay dividend. We also are the biggest employer in Iceland. 5,000 people depend that the company is doing well. So my biggest satisfaction is probably that if the company is doing well, we can continue paying good salaries and paying dividend to our shareholders.
While the outgoing Iceland Air flights carry boxes of fresh fish, a recent inbound flight carried another kind of box in its cargo bay, IBM's Ramek Disk Array Storage System. Now, IBM, like Iceland Air, is offering an opportunity to upgrade. If you want to go first class in the storage world, there's really only one way to fly: the recently announced Ramek 2, which doubles the data capacity of previous Ramek drawers and provides dramatic environmental savings.
Another satisfied IBM Ramek customer is the Florida-based American Bankers Insurance Group. In fact, as you'll see, they really wish that Ramek was available 3 years ago, when disaster struck that region.
This is how the headquarters of American Bankers Insurance Group looks now. This is how the building looked after Hurricane Andrew hit. On the night of August 23rd, 1992, with gusts of over 175 miles per hour, in the American Bankers Building, shelter was provided by a stairwell.
The stairwell itself, it trembled. It was a steel stairwell, and it was encased in concrete. And the whole time, for about 3.5 hours, you could just feel your body doing this.
When the storm eased, the heartache began. Daryl Falterman, along with 500 other employees and their families, were left homeless. And the offices, or rather what remained of the offices, was in disarray.
Everything in the data center was just absolutely saturated with salt water from Hurricane Andrew. The initial reaction was, how in the world are we going to, take care of this so we can get the company back up and running right away?
Temporary offices were found for employees, and as data was backed up off-site, American Bankers worked with IBM centers in Boca Raton, Florida, and Boulder, Colorado, to get systems back to normal.
We federally expressed 26,000 tape cartridges to Boulder. Boulder worked miracles. They really did. People there did things in hours and days that typically takes weeks and months to accomplish.
A hurricane like Andrew is hopefully only a once-in-a-lifetime disaster. But American Bankers is taking no chances. Today at the data center, windows are triple-paned and double-laminated. But American Bankers is not just about restoring the old. Looking ahead is critical. When headquarters reopened, employees were given back to the future buttons.
We believe that the parallel environment is the way of the future, and that the move to the CMOS technology with the parallel processors is where we want to be in the future.
I come from a long line of cheap people. Because of that, I'm very cognizant of how much things cost and how they might possibly affect the corporate bottom line. We decided that for the long term, the best bang for the buck would have been the CMOS machine, or in our case, the 9672. And that's why we decided to go with that one.
Taking all the factors into consideration, people costs, conversion costs, data access, performance issues, and the like, that we believe that the price performance aspects of the mainframe environment is going to be rapidly approaching that of the Unix environment, and then maybe even challenging the Intel environment at some point in time in the future. So at the rate that that's happening, the question is, why make the change?
CMOS Parallel Sysplex allows computer systems to work in concert for massive computing power, low-cost incremental growth, and availability even during upgrades or outages.
Up until this point in time, we'd only had one mainframe. This was the first time that we were going to have multiple mainframes in our environment, and to help us through the learning curves and get us up and running much quicker, we used IBM services, and I mean, it just went like a fine Swiss watch. It was great.
IBM robots are the mainstays of American Banker's automated tape library. But when it came time to install CMOS, humans did the heavy lifting.
IBM came in here, the hardware types, they came in here and bolt, and I mean their wrenches were flying, all this kind of stuff, man. They put everything together in jig time. Okay, cool. Then they wouldn't leave until they saw us working down there and saying, okay, you guys got a problem, you know, we'll be sitting right out here drinking a cup of coffee, but give me a yell. So the IBM hardware gurus were Johnny on the spot.
The machine came in and was literally up and running over the weekend, and we migrated about 25 to 30% to it the next day.
So it moved over very swiftly and also very, very well. I mean, with not much of a cough.
Today, with CMOS parallel technology, American Banker's Data Processing Center is humming along quite nicely, thank you. And while it's great to hear that the installation went well, what's more important is how the end users ultimately utilize the service data.
As Vice President of Accounting, this application has made my job a lot easier because I am able to tell management of the company exactly where we're doing good or where we have not done well a certain quarter. Before, it was much harder to do.
This August 23rd will be the 3rd anniversary of a disaster that tested the heart of a company, and the heart held, thanks to the triumphs of human spirit and computer technology.
We believe that keeping things in the mainframe environment, especially the data aspects of the client server, can strategically be the best thing for our corporation. So we plan to grow in the CMOS parallel technology environment.
So we're seeing a pattern emerge, from Florida's hurricane belt to Canada's financial hub and Europe's northern star. The future of large-scale computing is in CMOS parallel processors from IBM.
And IBM, famous for the security of its systems, has made an important commitment to the future security on the Internet by investing in Teresa Systems, a leading developer of encryption technology.
The Teresa technology is expected to let online marketers take credit card orders over the Internet, while protecting the cardholders from prying eyes of would-be techno-thieves.
And so now it's safe to say we're just about at the end of our program, but we're secure in the knowledge that, as promised earlier, you'll be able to learn more about the PC Server 500 System 390 if you'll keep this tape rolling after we sign off.
And as we say so long, a quick reminder that we welcome your comments and suggestions for future story ideas. You can reach us at the Internet, unencrypted please, at videos at vnet.ibm.com or at IBM System 390 Magazine, Mail Drop 302, 1133 Westchester Avenue, White Plains, New York, 10604. I'm Luz Ramos. Thanks for watching.
And I'm Tom Ellis, and as we wrap up our summer edition of System 390 Magazine, we leave you with some very cool images of the lakes and fjords of Iceland.
Stay cool.
Glad you could make the trip. Hey, good spot for a product launch. Nice piece of architecture. Come on inside, I'll show you some architecture.
It was a great day for an entrepreneur. An old friend had flown in from Chicago for the launch of my new application, and just in time for me to roll out my latest acquisition.
So what's a little box on roller skates?
It runs my application.
Never thought I'd see you on a PC platform.
It's more than that, it's also my new mainframe.
Hate to tell you, but your mainframe shrunk.
Don't you like the sound of that? My mainframe.
So, why are we getting this IBM box? In a nutshell, it's the best of both worlds. It was my first visit to one of our outposts, a small bank branch. How do you explain a new concept? I treated them gently. I told them, at the desktop, it's as friendly as a PC, but inside beats the sturdy heart of a mainframe. Now, are you still having nightmares about client-server systems?
I was thinking to myself, warning, a CFO can be hazardous to the sanity of a CIO. I'd started this job with 210 retail stores to service from the home office. Suddenly, we just happened to acquire a bankrupt chain of 37 more stores. So what did he do? He cut my budget. Control your costs, control your destiny, he told me. I told him he reads too many management books.
I must tell you, we have great confidence in you. Do you have a strategy yet?
Yes, I do. We're putting a mainframe under the desk in every store.
You read so much science fiction.
A toast to you, Counselor, for securing those contracts from Moscow and to the birth of our joint venture. Finally, it was over. After so many delays, after 2 years of negotiation, our oil exploration was underway, with the blessing of the Russian ministry. There was one last hurdle, their remote IS capability. Minimal, to say the least. But I had the perfect machine for the job.
So, when do we leave?
Leave for where?
For an on-site inspection.
Surely not this time of year, in Siberia.
I like what they've done with this place.
I like what they did with this machine. If you want to see integrity in architecture, check this out.
The combination of Pentium-based PC Server with a 390 microprocessor is inspired. As a development workbench, it creates business opportunities that software providers never had before. It's the lowest possible price to develop and test real System 390 applications. Even better, it gave me the best of my two worlds. The joy of GUI on a PC front end, plus the proven applications of the 390. The big corporate clients spend serious money on mainframe applications. So this machine fit my marketing plan. Develop the application on the OS2 or 390 side, test it on the 390 side, and bring on the customers.
So let's open the hood on this baby and see what it's got.
This man was an artist when it comes to writing code, and he knew his hardware. So I ran down the speeds and feeds. 17 bays for 2¼ gigabyte disk drives, upwards of 38 gigabytes of internal disk storage today, and bigger drives in the pipeline. RAID versions, hot pluggable drives, up to RAID 5 for fault-tolerant hard drives, the 4mm DAT cartridge for backup and restore. The operating systems are on cartridge, tape, or CD-ROM. One click and off you go.
I want one. You can't have it, it's mine.
The architecture of the PC Server 500 System 390 is truly unique, a meeting of the classic and the leading edge. Computer World called this new machine Little Big Iron, which is an apt description.
A few years ago, expanding into these areas was unthinkable. Today, it makes sense. The numbers are right. It was a new branch bank, a tiny branch from my perspective. But its dual personality reflected the change in our corporate culture. Classic architecture merged with new technology. We're a multinational institution. Our bricks and mortar was concentrated in the major markets and made of marble. Our host system, a glass house. I had found the same duality in IBM's PC Server System 390. On one side, the Pentium processor could give the smallest office full participation in client-server computing for their PCs. On the other side, the classic virtues of mainframe computing, because a System 390 microprocessor is an integral part of the system. We needed to be able to move around easily on the LAN. But the local server also had to access the mainframe database and run mainframe applications. What I don't want is to have to rewrite them for a PC environment. So we got to use mainframe applications in non-mainframe locations with less skilled people. We put a lid on the cost of computing. That gave me a new experience, getting a good night's sleep.
I think you're going to find that it's very easy to implement. I think my CFO enjoys throwing challenges at me. Ours was really an old problem, but in the past there was simply no easy solution. We operated a long-established chain of 210 department stores. As far as IS is concerned, our core operation has always been an IBM shop, with the host connected to all our stores. But we acquired a smaller company. That added 37 stores to the network. We had to replicate the processing at all those locations.
That could give your department to work out.
Yeah, and you could triple my budget.
What made it happen was getting a full-function 390 microprocessor within the PC server. The host thinks it's talking to another System 390. If we don't have inventory at one location, we can go into the host application and grab it from another location. That kept the customer service level up to our standards. Then there was point of sale. Maybe you're not going to get the throughput to run the New York Stock Exchange on this machine, but for retail, if our POS controller ever goes down,
Then we're ready to let the PC server take over as backup.
When we began a multinational joint venture for oil and gas exploration in eastern Siberia, we had to face the realities of a harsh environment.
Even through the Fuel and Energy Ministry, our power costs will be astronomical.
Oh, not on the computing side. This machine can pay for itself in power savings alone. It was a huge project. Back in Moscow, we were doing all the vector work on the ES9000 system. But at remote sites, the PC Server System 390 would give us the best possible fit. The environmentals alone were reason enough. It runs in any reasonable environment, no need for a glass house. The footprint is small, it fits anywhere. Maintenance costs are zero for the first 3 years. That's the warranty coverage. The total cost of computing with this box is a dream. Wheel it in, turn it on, and it's running the same day. It's the right tool for remote site chores. Run the payroll, handle inventory, track our drilling progress. The Russian programmers are old hands at 370 code. The System 390 side seemed like a friend. And they learned a new buzzword, GUI. They fell in love with OS2 Warp. Truth is, I think we spoiled them.
You'll never keep them down on the farm once they've seen Warp.
Back in my own shop, I had a dozen people writing application code, a 2-year backlog, and a long wait to run tests on our production machines. This was a hot platform. All my developers could run off just one of these boxes. They'd have their graphical interface, their drag-and-drop technology, their application development tools, and no hassle on the production system. I walked away thinking, finally, somebody understands me.
On the Big Iron side, its 390 microprocessor runs VM, VSE, or MVS. On the PC server side, the system runs OS2 Warp. IBM's engineers created OS2 device emulation using the microchannel. For example, count key and fixed block disks are emulated transparently on the SCSI hard drives. Inevitably, there were trade-offs in this design philosophy, which means the PC Server System 390 cannot be all things to all people. For example, it does not support Prism, Crypto, Vector, or SCON, but it does support most other familiar 390 features, including CICS storage protection, data spaces, and compression. For many IS organizations, it will solve long-standing problems. And because of the impressive economy of IBM's design, software providers can cost-justify a dedicated use of the machine. Simply put, it is a developer's dream. With the PC Server 500 System 390, IBM has built an important bridge between the world of client-server and the world of the mainframe. It may well be the system you've been waiting for.